Hi, everyone. This is Alexis Boss, and this is Your Favorite Black Lobbyist podcast. Welcome back to season 2. I'm super excited, not only just because we are back bigger and better, but I have a very special guest with me today. You're already cutting up. Today I have with me Justin Kirnon. He is a lobbyist. He is a political consultant. He is a mentor, specifically my mentor, but he's also a father, and I'm just super thankful to have him on today. So we're going to give it a round of applause for Justin Kirnon. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of get into it. I'll say let's start off with just, can you share a bit about the different roles you've held over the years? Kind of just how they shaped, your understanding of how government actually works, but also just how they shaped you, right? So kind of just, who is Justin, right? Explain to the people.
Ooh, those are two different questions.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
start off with the kind of career trajectory. Mm-hmm. And so working in politics is my second career. Okay. I did sales for years when I finished undergrad, but I started working in politics after grad school. But I started as an intern. I started from the bottom. And this was back when you could get away with not paying interns. I was an unpaid intern. And then just rose through the ranks, unpaid intern, and I used that opportunity to actually pivot to it, into my job. And then after working I worked for Stacey Abrams. That's who paid me. That was the first person that paid me to work in politics. And she was the first elected House Minority Leader. I was on her staff. I was the Director of Public Engagement, I think was my title back then. But getting a chance to sit under her and learn, a lot about this space was very helpful. And then I became a lobbyist with the Georgia Municipal Association, did that for about 5 years. Became a lobbyist for the nation's 9th largest transit system. Let you figure out what that is. Yeah. And then after that, went to the private sector, did some contract lobbying work, took a step back into the campaign world, did a little bit of political directing.
He was in the trenches.
Still in them trenches, but I was deep. I was
campaign work
deep.
Is the trenches,
man,
y'all.
That is not for the faint of heart.
It's not. Takes a
that's
special
a whole
kind of
different
person.
Beast. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it does.
Is.
It does. So did that for a while. I came back to the lobbying space, and doing a little bit more contract work, and then switched to an inside lobbyist. I know you've covered different types of lobbyists before, and so I was in the contract space, but now I work for one specific client.
Yeah, awesome. I love how I always love hearing about my guests, but also my friends, people that I'm close to, their trajectory into how they got into lobbying, right? Because everybody always asks me, how do you get into lobbying? Right. I'm like, it's going to be a different answer depending on who you ask.
I don't know any two people that have the same story of how they got into our field.
They don't.
It's different.
It's different.
It's different for everybody.
And I'm glad, because it shows you that one path, your path doesn't always have to be linear, right? It doesn't have to look a certain way.
Right.
And granted, the work that we do, our industry isn't really, it's a very niche industry.
Very so
it's not something that is you go to school and you just know, I'm going to become a lobbyist, right? We went.
I wish I did.
Yeah, right.
I do. I really do wish that, right after undergrad coming out, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a lobbyist.
Yeah,
I didn't even when I came out of undergrad. I guess I knew what a lobbyist was. I didn't know any, and I damn sure didn't know that I could be one.
Yeah.
Coming out of undergrad, and so. Very different.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where I'm just I like it because it just, again, it shows people that it doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't have to have it figured out, right?
Right.
We all start off at different points. Yeah. We all had an idea, right, of where we wanted to go, especially if you were if you went to college or if you didn't. I think that's the beautiful part about it. So
I love that there's a lot of people that are coming into our industry that are breaking that traditional mold. Because when I first started, my first year lobbying was the legislative session in 2014. It was January 2014. It was my first session as a lobbyist. When you look around the halls then, everybody went to the University of Georgia.
Yeah, go Dogs.
everybody was like, oh, well, what year did you come out of Georgia? I didn't. Did you take Dr. Bullock's class? I did not.
Don't
I
know
did
who
not
that
go
is.
to the University of Georgia. I know who he is because everybody else around
Yes,
here.
yes.
But it's just a difference. And now when you walk around, everybody doesn't have that same pedigree.
Yeah.
You're getting people from different spaces that are coming through, and I think that's a wonderful thing because you get that like a diversity and ideas and backgrounds and all of that stuff. That's why I said it in the way that you can still use the term. But it's great because you got folks from all types of different schools and some people that didn't necessarily go the traditional route. I feel like in this business, what I tell people is you either get paid for who you know or what you know.
Yeah.
And that education doesn't always come through academia.
No.
You can get that education in different spaces.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you shared that. I do want to also kind of get to know, or at least let people get to know, who is Justin Kirnon, right? You said that was a different answer than what I originally asked, right? Before we kind of get into the topic of discussion. So, who is Justin Kirnon? I have an idea, right? Okay. Let's go down memory lane, y'all. Okay, so I met Justin when I was a wee little snapper in college, right? And I always tell people Alexis back then was a little feisty. I was a little feisty.
Very bold.
I was very bold, very feisty. Still am, but it's more refined, right? But he definitely we met, and that was when you were a lobbyist for, the 9th largest transit system in the world, or in this country? In the country. I'm just playing. For when he was a lobbyist for MARTA, for those who did not know. But and he helped me so much just within my college career, but also just afterwards, and just actually introducing me to people at the Capitol, bringing me into the space, and just mentoring me. And mentored me in a way that grew me and shaped me and molded me in a way that I was able to still be who I am in myself, but also show up in spaces or show up in a space that either, like you said, it didn't really showcase that diversity, right? And so I'm just so thankful for you. We have banter, but, I'm not going to get sappy. Tissues are over there. But, no, I'm super thankful for this guy. He's been amazing and such a, not only just an amazing person in my life, but also I don't know where I would be and who I would be without him in my life. So we're going to get past that.
I think you still end up this person.
You shortcome yourself. Don't do that.
No, I my assignment in this space is to leave the door open, and so once I was like, oh, so we in here?
Yeah.
Oh, so let me let's bring some other folks, and so use the key word, and you know how I feel about that word. But I've been honored to be a mentor for you over these several years, and so many other people as well, and the intention behind it is I like to be who I needed when I was starting. Yeah. And I have a great mentor, or a couple of great mentors as well, and I want to be there in the same way that people were there for me. Yeah. And so in order to, give people access to this very unique space, you got to leave that door open. You got to reach that hand, out, and allow people to, grab it and bring them on in through the door so that they can access this world as well.
That's beautiful. And I think more people need to be like that. Sadly, we have people, and not even just within this space, right? In a lot of different, in the world, right? That once they're in the door, right, they don't usually like to let people in because they feel like that. I don't know what the reasoning is, but
people are scared of competition. Yeah, they feel that I have a unique story. I have unique relationships. Yeah. I have this niche. Let me keep everybody else out so everything can come to me. And I don't believe in that. Yeah, I think that there's enough out here for all of us. And I think what God has for you is for you, and there's nothing anybody else can do or take. Which is the reason why I stated that you would be that same person. God created you. Who you are. So whether it would have been me or someone else, I think that you would have still, because you had a purpose. And so I think that, have a purpose, and I think that would have still found some type of alignment.
Thanks. Oh, we're gonna be so happy. Okay. No, I know I kind of got away from the question of who is Justin, and I don't know, that could have been.
I got away from the question.
Yeah.
Who
Okay.
is Justin?
No.
It's a complicated thing to answer because I'm a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I am, and so it's interesting, and I mean this conversation itself could be a whole different podcast episode, but I realize that a lot of my identity is wrapped up in the things I do. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to, at 43, I'm trying to make that, that adjustment. Because, like, who is Justin? Justin's a father. Yeah. I am. That's the thing that I do that I'm the most proud of, is being, a father to my wonderful 8-year-old daughter. And, but that's not all I am. But that is a big part of who I am. And then, lobbying is what I do. Political consulting is what I do. Yeah. But I do that stuff so much that it takes a lot of, when people ask me who I am, my first natural instinct is to give the elevator speech about the things that I've done. And the things that I've done are not always, they're not equal to just the person that I am. It's a different thing.
That's a real thing and a good thing, because I think a lot of people make what they do their identity, and they don't know how to get out of that. And so when that no longer is, right, then like their whole world falls apart. And I've seen it. I've seen people not know what to do, or they stay in that same thing because they're afraid of doing anything else because they don't know anything else.
Or you're just lost in it.
Or they're just lost in it.
You can just lose you can lose yourself in anything that you give too much of yourself to.
Yes.
And you can lose yourself in your work, your career, your family, your whatever you choose to do.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I know I still didn't answer the question about who I am.
No, but that's perfect.
Like I said, we can spend a lot of time talking about that part. But I'm sure there's other people like me that have had that same thing, because we're used to it automatically. Who you are, your go.
Yeah.
And that's your who you speech. Are is your elevator speech about what you do.
30 seconds,
You ain't asked me what I do. You already ran through that, but I chose to still answer the question in that same way.
But no, I like I said, I appreciate that, because that still shines a light that's something a lot of people at different stages and ages in their life struggle with.
Right.
Especially people, that are older, have been in their job or in their career, right, for years. That's something they just struggle with, because they're like, well, yes, I'm this, but I'm also this, and I'm mostly that. And it just becomes hard to kind of navigate. So I understand.
I think, there's work. Mm-hmm. There's work, Justin, and then there's JK.
Yeah,
and they're different people.
They are. Not everybody gets to meet
people.
JK.
Not everybody gets to meet JK,
no.
And I don't show everybody.
As you should not.
JK, JK is for my close knit network.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you're gonna get the professional, proper, and then the other one that's a little bit more loose and casual.
Yeah.
And
got
all
your little
that
leg out.
See, because I said the name, so the leg kicked out. There's a whole different, there's I told you who Justin was. JK is a different person. So we're gonna stick with Justin today. We can deal with JK on another. When I change clothes and all that stuff, and then we can talk to JK.
Absolutely. Okay.
Justin.
Part 2, y'all. We're gonna get JK. Okay. Okay. So switching gears. I know today I wanted to talk about civics in 101, because especially with at least for Georgia, the start of the legislative session occurred.
Yes.
And, we're at the start of the new year. And so a lot of people, I believe, was a wake up call. It wasn't for us, right? Because we're in the industry, we're in the know. But a lot of people that really weren't engaged in politics, or you really weren't involved, or was kind of like, oh, that's not my thing, realized, oh, it has to be my thing, because it's affecting the kitchen. It's affecting how I live and survive and how I feed my family, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people last year experienced that with when policies were passed or laws were passed or made, and it trickled down, right, from federal, state to local to now to kitchen table, right? And so I wanted to kind of high level talk about civics and kind of help the audience know, and kind of get better information, right? Because there's a lot of misinformation around here. It's a lot
There's
of
people that
misinformation.
make their money off of just pumping misinformation out, you know, all over the internet and through all types of conversations and, you know, and all of that stuff.
And it's profitable, right?
Yeah.
And even now people are, you know, weary of getting it from the main media, right? Because it can be biased, right? And so
America, like, we have trust issues.
Yeah, we did.
Rightfully so.
I'm not disagreeing.
Rightfully so. And
Valid.
so it's a very confusing, and in this space, there's a lot of trust issues because you have politicians that have come into communities like snake oil salesmen and then sold people a whole bunch of lies, told people all of these untruths, and then walked away with the resources that were in that community.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you have people that are like, you know, when I tell people I work in politics, some people just like, what you do?
What do you do?
You know, what do you do in this politics?
Now they're like, oh, you the ops. And I'm like, whoa, I'm not the feds. What's happening? What are we talking about?
That speaks to the level. And the fact that so many of us experience that same type of, you know, that shows you the level of distrust that people have with our elected officials and the political system in general.
Yeah.
In general.
And I'm glad you said that because I wanted to kind of get into when people hear civics, right? What do you think they misunderstand the most?
Everything, man. Like, I have so many conversations, and I think a lot of it, you know, is people took civics a long time ago.
Maybe like 8th grade, 6th grade.
You know, whenever they took it, they didn't retain all of the things because a lot of people made a decision when they were younger that I'm not going to be in the politics.
Right.
And I laugh whenever I hear, oh, I'm not in all that political stuff. I laugh because I'm like, let me tell you something.
It's into you.
Whether you in it or not, it's into you.
It's into you.
And it's going to have some form of impact one way or another.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Yeah.
So you can either pay attention so you can see it coming or you can be surprised.
Yeah. I think a lot of people last year were surprised.
There's going to be an impact. There's going to be all of these other, you know, things that come along with it. But you have an option to pay attention to it. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward. Sometimes it's stupid. I'm like, why is this dumb?
Yeah.
I say that pretty much on a daily basis when I hear certain things. I'm like, this is dumb. But, you know, these are our realities. And, you know, we can talk about civics and then we got to circle back and we talk about advocacy. But I think so many people just have forgotten the levels of government, you know, checks and balances. I think some people in the government don't know all of this. I was working with a candidate in Middle Georgia. I'm not going to say the district area, but I'll just say it was in the general middle Georgia area. And I'm helping, you know, prep him, and he's about to speak to a group of volunteers. And I was like, so what are you going to say to get him fired up, ready to knock on these doors?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I tell him, when you send me to Washington. I said, wait a minute.
No.
Wait. No. You're not going to Washington. You're running for a seat that meets under the Gold Dome in Atlanta. So why are you talking about when they send you to, do you not know? And he was like, I know the difference.
Yeah.
They think every time they elect somebody, they're sending you can be the mayor, you're going to be the governor, or you going to Congress.
You're going to the state capitol in D.C.
That is it. And he's like, most of these people, and I try to tell him, and so he was like, I just go along with him. I was like, yeah, when you send me to D.C., I was like, it's your job to educate and inform, though, not to just go along with.
Yeah.
Because then they keep that mindset, and they think they still thinking they're sending you to D.C.
Yeah.
And they don't know what's going on in that Gold Dome under the Gold Dome in Atlanta.
State impacts them. Right.
Heavily.
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 Yeah.
Way more so than your Congress. You can recognize your Congress people.
Yeah.
You know, like most people can recognize their member, you know, of Congress. And that's and a lot of that is because of that disconnection from that civics class that you took when you were in school to the actual application of it in real life.
Right.
And so people, you know, they learned, a lot of people learned what they need to learn to pass that test or something like that. It's like, I don't need that. You know, I know who the president is. I'm going to just keep it moving. And government is so there's just so much more.
Yeah.
There's just so much more. And so understanding that process actually helps you in your everyday life, because then you can start to understand where to place your advocacy efforts, where, like, who do you call, for this. I get so many folks, I got, this problem, like, who do I need to talk to about this? I need to talk to, the mayor about what's going on. I was like, that's county government. It's county government. Well, who's my county mayor? Nope.
No.
That's a county commissioner, or
Right.
or county chair, or in DeKalb County CEO of the county, or stuff like that. But people don't understand. They don't know how to connect their problems to the politician, and so they don't. A lot of people don't know which level of government is responsible for what. And I think that's I don't blame that on them, and I don't just blame it on the schools. That's an us thing.
Yeah.
Because us, the people that work in this space, is our job to continue that education, which is why I had to correct that gentleman. It's like, no, you're not going to go along with them. You're going to teach them and educate them on what this actually is.
Yeah.
And then when he had the conversation and like broke it down, I'm like, oh, you going to Atlanta? Just say you're going to Atlanta. Like, you could have told us that. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, it's a difference, but we just have to have conversations, and unfortunately in this environment it's harder and harder to have conversations, because people come to the table with their minds made up. Could be dead wrong, but their mind is made up, on what that is. And so educating the people that want to be educated is one thing, but trying to educate the willful ignorant, that's a different challenge that I don't wish to partake. For what? I'm not going to go back and forth with you on this stuff.
That is true.
I know what I know, and what I have is supported by these things called facts.
Not fake news.
No, not fake news. But
that is the issue, right? People don't know who to go to. People don't know. People don't even know that you can actually reach out to your Congress, right, to expedite your passport.
The crazy thing I don't know about other states, because I live here, I work here.
Oh, that's only for Georgia?
Well, what I'm saying is Georgia, from conversations that I've had with people in other places, Georgia has extremely accessible elected officials. And it's not just to us. Like, we can pick up our phones and call, whomever, but the general public, they want to hear from you too.
Yeah.
And you can reach those folks, and you can, do all of that stuff. Like, everybody in Atlanta claim they know Mayor Dickens.
Right.
Some of them really do.
Right.
Some of them don't. But everybody claims, I know Dre.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, it's different between Mayor Dickens and Dre.
Right. You might know Dre.
you might know Andre. You don't know Dre.
You don't know,
Y'all went to school 20 years ago.
And it's the same thing, with elected officials, like other levels of elected officials, but you have all of these people, and they're accessible, and people don't understand the level of access that they actually have when they actually make that phone call or show up in some of these spaces. People will be surprised on the responsiveness of some of these folks that you would assume just would not, reach out or reach back out to you.
Yeah.
But so you have different levels of government. So you have your local, state, and your federal government. So your local is your city government, your county government. Georgia's really a unique place in that, because everybody lives in the county, but not everybody lives in the city.
Yeah.
Georgia has 538 different cities.
I believe so.
159 counties. We have more local governments than everybody probably outside of California and Texas.
Yeah.
Right here in Georgia with a population of 10.5 million people. That means people are represented well on a lot of different levels. You have multiple levels of representation. So when you talk about the city and the county government, what are they responsible for? Those are responsible for the things within those geographical limits of that place. So, and each one provides different services, right? So you have, let's take Atlanta, for instance. Atlanta provides fire. They provide police. They provide water. Those are, three of the top services that they provide to the residents that live in that area. So if you live in those cities and you have problems with any one of those, it's your city government that takes care of that. Atlanta also does some roads. We got those potholes and things of that nature, which they're getting fixed. It's just a lot of them.
No.
It's a lot.
They are getting fixed.
But they're getting fixed. You had a whole project
Yeah.
On this side of town.
Absolutely.
And so
Thank God.
you have all of that, but not all of the roads inside the city are city roads. Some
Right.
of them are county, some of them are state.
Yes.
So like it's layered.
It's layered.
It's layered.
And everybody can't do, like,
All of
city
the-
can't handle county. And
You can only do
You
the
can only
things
do
under
within-
your direct jurisdiction.
Right.
Right. And so you have your counties, some counties, so your counties provide jails, all of your jails. So the city of Atlanta has a municipal court, municipal jail, but your county jail is connected to the county and the state court system. So municipal level, if you go to municipal jail, you done got into a fight, you done got drunk, you did something, you get locked up for a couple hours, they send you on your way. You go over to Rice Street in Fulton County. You might be there for a little bit, but you're waiting for your actual court case to get adjudicated, and so you can be in there. If you don't get a bond, you can be in there until you go to trial, and then you got a choice. Like, all right, if you found guilty, you go home. If not, you're going to prison.
Yeah.
So it's a different level of jails, even between your city jails and then your county jails. And the county provides, a different level of services. And so it's very important that when you're identifying what your issue is, that you know the different level of government to talk to.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to your city talking about your county issues
Right.
and, and vice versa, because now you wasted your time and that other person's time by not being as informed. And then you have the state, and you have your state government, different level of elected officials, and so each one of these bodies have their own level of government officials. Your city's going to have mayors, city council members, or city commissioners. Your counties are going to have county commissioners, and then the chair of that county is either the chair or, in DeKalb County, the CEO. Your state legislative body is the state house and the state senate. The governor's in charge of the state. And so all of these people have all different jobs that are responsible for different things. A lot of times people just put everything in the pool of the government.
Yeah.
Everything's just the government.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, it's a lot of different, levels
yeah.
of government. Then you have your federal government. Federal government is the thing that gets the most attention. Most people have some type of awareness of what the federal government is doing.
Right.
Because, when people are running for Congress, they raise enough money to have TV ads.
Yeah.
State legislators and city council in most places aren't going to raise as much money as it takes to run ads on TVs.
Yeah.
On TV and on radio. So Congress is going to do that. Senate's going to do that, and everyone knows who the president is.
Yes.
And so that level of government gets a lot more time and a lot more attention, and so people pick up on all of those things. It's also the slowest moving.
I was just going to say that. That one bill takes
Forever.
4 years.
Congress moves
slow.
very, very slow. It's a complicated process.
Yes.
Moves very slow. State government is mirrored after. The federal government, in which, in Georgia, we have a House and a Senate, which is a part of our legislative branch, the governors, the executive branch, and then you have a judiciary branch within that as well. The legislature here in Georgia meets for 40 legislative days. Those 40 legislative days are between the second Monday in January, and then they usually get out end of March, sometime in April.
Yeah.
It's all typically within that same window. Their job is to make state laws. Those are the laws that we have to follow as a state. And so those are the folks that are in session right now, making all of those, state laws, making changes to the Georgia, Constitution, and then, said we already discussed the city and the county laws, or the city and county governments, but all of those are different levels of government that we have representation, of here in the state of Georgia. And you can drill down on that a lot further.
Yeah.
Having a real deep civics conversation. It's all of those different things it's very nuanced on how to navigate all of those spaces, because you navigate them differently as well.
That's real, especially navigating that as, a civilian, right?
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. It's on top of the fact that you don't know, right? You only know what you know, and you might have taken that American government civics class, in 8th grade, or, in grade school, or maybe you might have taken it in high school again.
I think I took civics in, I want to say 9th grade, which meant that I took civics in 1996
Please.
or 97 or something like that, depending on what semester. This is a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But, it's a long time ago. So,
Yeah.
we expect people to remember that
Yeah.
stuff when we don't do things that constantly engage.
Yes.
You don't have to pass the civic, and I'm not advocating for it, but, to get a driver's license, you got to pass a driving exam.
Yeah.
You got to say, I know the rules of the road, and I know how to navigate this.
Absolutely.
To get a voter registration card, you have to be of age and not commit a crime of moral turpitude or whatever the language is
Right.
around being able to vote. And so we don't continue the education and the engagement.
Yes.
And then, the memory of it just atrophies.
That's we can dig so deep into that in itself, because it's like, well, why should we, how can we, all that kind of stuff.
Freedom. That's the thing about it is, there is no way to require adults to have this level of education.
Yeah.
Once you're finished with high school, that's the end of your government mandated or requested education.
Right.
That it ends at that point.
Yeah.
If you go to college, you might take a class during your core classes if that's not a part of your major.
Right.
But we require people that want to become citizens of this country at whatever age, they have to take a test. Mm-hmm. They have to learn.
They have to take a test that a lot of Americans can't even pass. We can go there. It depends on how you brought it up.
I'm just saying what I'm saying. The fact that if you want to be an immigrant in this country, you have to pass the test.
Absolutely.
You have to prove that you know civics, which is why when given the opportunity, new voters, it's hard to surpass that immigrant population when it comes to new voters, because they're going to get out there. They're happy to do it.
Yeah.
Because some of them came from places where they couldn't.
They couldn't, yeah.
Now you're here. Now you passed your test. You know what you're talking about, so you
Yeah.
paid attention.
Yeah.
You also have something to contrast it with.
Yes.
And so, but yeah, after you pass that, it's like, all right, you got it. You're good. Go off. Be free.
Yeah.
You're an American. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't.
Yeah, they don't. I know that you mentioned before, I know we're talking about civics, but a little bit kind of the advocacy piece about it, right? Yeah. Let me say this. If somebody wants to influence change in their community, right? Especially that, like I said, voting, right? People that are, I'd say, semi-engaged, right? Or that wants to get engaged or involved. Especially, like I said, I always kind of emphasize or bring up, last year was I think a pivotal point for American citizens and those that are technically American citizens, right? It was a wake-up call, right? Where a lot of people are, again, if you don't do politics, politics don't do you. And a lot of people saw that on the corporate space with the DEI policy being passed. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of companies laid off people. Outside of the fact that, yes, we are, some people can argue in an economic recession or heading that way if we're not already there. Just only on that piece, but also, like I said, if you weren't on the corporate space and didn't lose your job, you got people that, again, immigration, right? A lot of people are impacted that, and not just Mexicans or people from a certain particular country that a lot of people thought was going to mostly be impacted, right, which are, but people that were from Europe were impacted, right? People that, in a sense, I would say were white American passing were impacted and had trouble traveling or entering back into the country. And just, again, we saw with the government shutdown and with, government assistance and how that's being impacted with food stamps and the subsidies with the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. Right. So all of that, a lot of people saw, again, how politics impacts you, right? And at the base level. So now that I think people are kind of waking up to it, and especially that we saw in Georgia specifically, in other states too, like New York, where the local elections happened last year, and a lot of people were engaged. Like, people were trying to vote in states that they couldn't even vote in. I think that goes back to the literacy and to civics.
I'm on vacation, so I couldn't vote where I live, but I want to vote here.
Right.
How do I do that? You cannot.
You cannot. To the point that the governor was, I can't remember where he was, but had to, oh no, the Secretary of State in one state had to literally put on Twitter and be like, you cannot vote.
If you don't live here.
If you don't live here, you cannot vote.
If you're not registered,
you can't write them
here,
in.
You can't do that. That's not how this works.
Right. That's how it works. So with all of that, what are ways, or how can someone influence change in their community, and what should they, or so where should they start and why?
You start by identifying what you want to change, or the area that you want to impact. You notice it was singular. Said the area, not areas. Don't take off don't bite off too much at the beginning. Start small. Start with whatever, like pick one problem that your community, that you want to help fix in your community. You want to impact change on your community. Pick that one. Do a whole bunch of research on that before you even get started, so that you can be
Can you repeat that again? The R word?
Oh, research.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
do research.
Okay.
Research
You can listen to your camera too. Yeah.
Do research once you pick your area, and the reason why I'm saying so heavily on the research is because a lot of times we make assumptions based off of our general knowledge, and if you think that, I'm highly intelligent enough to be well versed on this issue, and then you start talking, you realize that issue is a lot more complicated than you thought, and the stuff that you're talking about is not you don't have all of the information you need to have the conversation. Right. So arm yourself with both sides of the coin. That's how I do mine. That's my approach. Is I want to know what first of all, I'm approaching this from a research topic, not approaching this as a persuasion piece. I'm approaching it with trying to gather the information I need to make up my mind, not gathering information to support a mindset that I already have. Those are two different ways to approach research. So research from a neutral place.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
I would even say a neutral place, but also, and it's hard to do, it's easier for us to do because I think we build up the skill, but from an unemotional place.
Yeah, you got to take emotions out of it.
And
there's a chance for you to put them back in there later.
Yeah.
But in your research, the emotions have to be gone.
Yeah.
You have to do it from a very neutral place, so that you can actually become educated on the topic. Because if you do it with emotion, if you do it with your bias, you're just being influenced, not being educated. So you want to make sure that you're educated so that you can educate. Yeah. Whenever I speak, regardless of the topic, I'm doing it from an educational point. The only time that I am speaking with some type of persuasion is when I'm actively trying to lobby you and trying to get you to understand it from I need you to vote on this, so this is how I have to present the information. And even with that, I'm still going to provide nothing but truth. It's still going to be factual based. It's still going to be data driven. It's still going to be research based. I'm not giving you opinions. I'm giving you details and facts to help to shape the story or the narrative, so that you can see it from another point of view that you may not have been exposed to before. And so, but we have to, everybody has a chance to be an advocate. One of the best things about social media is everybody has a platform. One of the worst things about social media is that everybody has a platform. I am fully convinced that we were never meant to hear what's going on in some people's minds. No. We were not meant to be exposed to some of this. And now because of social media, we are. Yeah. And a lot of the things that are being said are people's inner intrusive thoughts that are not factually based.
No, and they're really intrusive.
And they're not factually based. No. And a lot of people just get out and spew it, and that's where misinformation that you mentioned comes from. Because you have to, when you hear things, you have to hear it from the perspective, is this factual or is this opinion? Is it fact or opinion? And is it fact with bias or is it unbiased fact? And so there's a level of critical thinking that has to come with consuming. Because if you're consuming without critically thinking, you're just absorbing you're a parrot at that point. you're just parroting, and we don't want to we don't want to do that. And so if you're getting into your own advocacy, you already got that passion, you already got that fire. Now educate yourself.
Yeah, arm yourself.
Before you start having the conversations, before you put your platform out there, educate yourself.
Yeah.
Don't build the plane as you fly it.
Yeah.
Build that plane on the ground.
Right.
Get
Test
all of the
it,
tools you need. Make
Right.
sure it's, make sure you're good. Then take off.
Yeah.
And then take off. And it doesn't, and it doesn't necessarily take as long as you think to gather all of that stuff and to launch your advocacy.
And that's real, right? Like, a lot of people, especially that I've seen on social media, and like you said, it's a blessing and a curse, where a lot of people have a platform, and a lot of the misinformation comes because people are spewing their opinions, right? And stating them as facts.
It is grossly irresponsible for you to have any level of influence and not do your own research and just spread other information or decide that, I got this really quickly, let me get something out. People are so quick to be first instead of accurate. I get, phone, because I've been a really bad poster for like the last year. I've not posted much and all of that, but I get phone calls or text messages when something happens. Oh, you need to create a post about this so that you can explain this to people.
Yeah, so you can educate people.
This just came out just now and I don't have the information now. You need to hurry up and get to it. I will not.
And
I won't.
I want to add to that because especially with this current administration, so much is going on. It's really hard to keep up. Some people are like, do you know this? And I'm like, I haven't even had a time to digest so that I can properly research it, understand it, and then be able to educate you and spoon feed it to you. Right?
I'm gonna put it this way. In general, politics moves faster now.
It does.
Because information moves faster now. But with information moving faster now, that means misinformation moves
just
twice
as fast. Yes.
I would say even faster.
Yeah.
Even faster.
People just making stuff up at this
just
point.
because everyone has that platform and they just say whatever and then it amplifies and then it builds and then it builds. And then you hear something that's common sense, to it. And you're like, oh, that can't be right.
Yeah.
Go with this other thing. You know, and everybody rather, follow all of these sensationalized stories than the truth. And we got to get back to speaking, the truth. And that's not a partisan thing. That's a people thing. Everybody needs to speak, the truth. And people need to be more open to conversations and actual dialogue. And not just, coming from the perspective of, I know what I know and you don't know what I know. And people ask me all the time, like, so you got to go down there and you got to talk to people that don't have your same beliefs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All the time, every day.
How do you do that? Easily.
Yeah.
I look at the person as a human being and I have a conversation.
Yeah, and I listen.
I'm not responsible for their part of it. I'm only responsible for my part of it.
Yeah.
And my part of the conversation is, how I'm gonna come at it and, how I'm gonna approach it. But I can't be responsible for what someone else is gonna do with that information, which is why I just have to make sure I just put out truthful information. I'm not trying to mislead you, deceive you, and manipulate you. I'm giving you factual information. It's either you're gonna rock with it or you're not.
Yeah. I feel like America specifically, but people in general, we have lost empathy. And their empathy in the sense of just trying to understand and connect with somebody, right? It doesn't have to always be from an emotional point, but it just being open, right? To being able to sit across from another person, viewing them as a person, not a thing, not an illegal, not an alien, or any of these descriptors or these terms that we have created along the years, right? To put people in a box and to showcase and let them know, hey, this is who you are, so this I'm going to treat you moving forward. So no, it's just you're a person. Your upbringing or your backstory or your walk of life was different than mine potentially, which that's probably everybody you're going to come across, and just hearing them out, right? But a lot of people, for whatever reason, I think have lost it or feel emboldened to not want to do that, right? It's easier to to sit across from someone and it's easier to judge, right?
Very much
It's
so.
easier to hate. It's easier to feel valid in your emotions and in your feelings, right? And to justify them through discriminatory practices or prejudice or certain beliefs, right? And move through the world like that. So I really think there has to be a reset that I think is also going to trickle down politically as well, right? Because I always say that we mentioned quite a bit during the segment, whether you do politics going to do you.
Right.
But I also recognize that there is an ethos to politics, right, or to policy, and how that impacts people, and it's very real, and people feel very valid in how they feel because, again, this impacts people, right? Or they feel like it's going to impact them, right? That's why I think anxiety comes into play. But the point is that I think a lot of that's been lost, and I think that's where we miss the connection.
Yeah, it's
as people.
It's so different. You can in my lifetime it doesn't seem that long ago, but in younger people's lifetime it could be a whole lifetime ago. But I look back to when Barack Obama was running against John McCain. People that were, politically, very different, had a very different, view of how the country should be, had a different plan on, how to make, the country into the version that they wanted to see. However, John McCain was at a rally, and this person in the crowd was going off on all of these untruths about Obama. And John McCain said, well, no, ma'am, we have a difference of opinion and a difference in how we run the country, but he's an American. And, and he kind of broke down, the misinformation in that moment. That's gone.
Yeah.
We have gotten so far. And in my mind, it was like, that wasn't that long ago, but in reality, it was.
It doesn't feel that long ago, but it was. But it was.
It was.
That was what?
That was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. It doesn't
It was
feel
almost
like that.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so
I
in the last
that.
20 years, we have gone from that to now there's no civility.
No, there's no couth.
When you have, a lot of these, everyone is trying to just, make fun or pick fun or discredit. Like there's no art to oratorical debate anymore. Like that's
there's no
gone.
Debate.
that part is that part is gone. It's just like, oh, I'ma just shit talk now.
Yeah.
Just like we were literally watching a debate between Biden and Trump, and then the highlight of the debate was them talking about who's a better golfer. That's where we got.
Out of all of that, that's where we got.
That was and I was on the radio the next day. And I'm sitting there taking notes during this whole debate, and I'm like, I really have to comment on this golf part of it because of the fact that
that was it.
This is the part where y'all are actually debating. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is the point. Y'all weren't answering none of the other questions. Y'all sitting here just talking shit to each other on this. But that's how politics have gotten in some of the spaces, and that's like away from and the people that lose when politics gets to that is us, because when you look at leadership. And when the leaders decide that they don't have to be civil to each other, that means the constituents then decide they don't have to be civil to each other.
Right.
So you are correct. That civility has to start at top.
Yeah.
From both sides. And if that's not there, the American people keep getting caught in the middle of it. And there's all of these things. And so, there's questions in our circle all the time. Do you think it could ever get back to the way it was? Looking at the example I gave and, what you remember from before, do you think we get back to that? Or, we here now.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we have to, figure it out. Are we going to change? Or if this is where we're going to live and this is where we're going to be?
I would love to save that for part 2, because that's a whole another 20 minutes just debating that, right? And I know in our circles we have some people have debated just that, right? But I think that's just where we are, right, as of right now. But no, I think that all of that was good. I would say, to kind of close this out, if listeners would able to walk away, right, with just one civic habit or mindset shift, what should it be?
Think for yourself.
Okay, that's great. Boom. Take the thing off. No, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, just think for yourself. We have to stop being. We have to get out of being influenced and look at things as educational opportunities, and then make our decisions on our own. And then I guess part B to that is read.
Another R word.
Read. And here's the thing, and when I have conversations with people, I can tell when you just read the headline.
Yeah.
I was like,
you didn't even read the
you
article.
Didn't read it. You just read the headline.
Right.
You just read the headline, and so you think that this is, and
Yeah.
you have no detail, you know any of the thing, because all you did is read the headline, and now you're talking about something from an uninformed place. Everything is filled with opinion, and so let's get out of the habit of, like, if we want to truly be civically engaged outside of actually participating in the process, read.
Yeah.
Read.
Okay, that was 2 R's. Research. Read. I'm gonna add a third one, respect.
Ooh, that was
yeah. We had to, because
it makes sense.
It makes sense.
On the piggybacking off of what we spoke about,
Yeah.
that has to be the other one.
It has to be the other one.
Research and respect.
Yes.
Read, research, and respect.
Yes, absolutely.
Respect, but respect does, and it's weird because respect. I'm not at that point. Oops, I done knocked the mic all over. Did I do that?
No, it's okay.
I'm not at the point of my Christian walk where I turn the other cheek.
Okay, you're not there yet.
No, yeah, I'm not.
Well, it depends.
I'm not
for me, it depends.
And I'm gonna just give the other one a slap.
No, yeah.
We're not doing that.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. So it's like, if I'm not being respectful, it's very hard for me to maintain. I can remain poised.
Yes.
In situations where I'm not respected, but I can't stay in places where I'm not respected. And that's
we've had plenty of conversations about that. I've called you fired up.
But yeah, so respect has to go both ways.
It does.
It has to go both
Yes.
ways. There's no way to just like, I'm gonna maintain respect on my side, while you just get to do whatever on your side.
Yeah.
No, that's not how this is gonna work.
It doesn't work
respect
that way.
does have to be. It has to be.
It's reciprocal.
It has to be mutual.
Yeah.
It has to be mutual.
Yeah.
If we can't mutually respect each other, we're
There's no
gonna let the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another, and we just gonna have to just go our separate ways, because I can't. You're not gonna just be in my face just being disrespectful. We're not doing that.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And like you mentioned, it starts at the top and it trickles its way down to the bottom. But I think sometimes we also have to be the example, right? If our leaders aren't doing it, then we have to make sure that we are being the example and the role models, especially for the younger generation.
I mean, that's leadership. So either way it goes, like, that's what the leaders, regardless of, whatever level, leaders have to take that charge.
Absolutely.
And we have to do that because we have to show that there's a different way to have this. And by being respectful, it doesn't mean you're not fighting, doesn't mean you're not in the trenches, it doesn't mean, any of those things. You still, you can be respectful and about that life at the same time.
Yeah, I think honestly that's a great way to kind of like wrap it up or end it, because
respectfully about that life.
Yeah, well, because we have like, we're in Black History Month, right? And so we've had leaders, right? Black leaders and people of color who were in the spaces that it was nobody else but them doing it, right? And so, recently celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy, and the legacy of his family and the work that they've done in various estates, on the local, state, and federal level, right? Like I said, Brother Malcolm X. I mean, we have plethora of people who have made a path and a way for you and I to be in the space to be able to have these conversations, to actually be, civic leaders in our community, right? And at the state capitol in Georgia, or even also on the Hill in DC. And so I think what's so full circle about this, especially during, Black History Month, is that we are the people that are honestly our ancestors or our past greatest, that was the reason they did it, right? It's so that we are able to be able to have the freedoms, the ability to be able to participate in the civic the civic process, but also to make change and to continue making change, right? They just started it, right? They were part of the leaders that were starting it. We have to continue on the fight and continue on the path and finish.
We can't have we cannot afford to have a leadership gap.
No.
If we're still looking at people that did their work 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, and then we can't point to the leaders of our time period now, it's the problem.
Yeah.
And if we can't identify them, guess what that means? We need to step up and be them.
Yeah.
And so, because there's a lot of young folks out here doing a lot of great work now.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the people that history remembers. Like we have to think about the work that we're doing now could end up in the history book one day.
Yeah.
We're going to be somebody, this generation, we're someone's history.
Absolutely.
And so we have to move, as such, in this space and remember that like we're the new history makers.
Yeah. This is so good. I'm so thankful that you came on. This has been
My
such
pleasure.
a great conversation, and I we can keep it going. I really want you to come back for part 2. It may have to be after this session because I don't know if I can try and get you again. But
Nope, we're done until April.
April, yeah. I'm super thankful again for you just coming on and taking the time, but also lending us your wisdom and your knowledge, right? Like you've been, like I said, you've been in various roles, you've been in various positions, and you are not only just a participant, but you're also a leader civically, right, in the process. And, I think it's just amazing to have someone like you on to be able to help educate, right? You still have influence, right? But to educate people and help people to be able to understand the civics process and be able to then, again, it's opening that door like you do for the lobbyists and other people to get into this space. You're opening doors, through education for others to be able to participate. And I think that's beautiful. So thank you so much, Justin, for coming on and being on the Your Favorite Black Lobbyist podcast.
Absolutely.
Season 2.
I'm a fan too. I'm not just a...
Oh, you be watching, bro? I'm just playing.
Like you be a little fake. Oh, you seen my show before?
Little old me. No, this is great.
No, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you for allowing me to share your platform and provide some some information that I have out to your great audience.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, that wraps up the end of this episode. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, tune in, and definitely I will try to share Justin's social media so you can also follow and engage with him as well. But thank you so much, guys, and until again, talk to you later. Bye.